The unseen shadows. Joy had always been a bright light in her mother's life, a spark of laughter and joy. Every morning, the air in their small kitchen was filled with the sweet aroma of pancakes and the sound of Joy's laughter as she chatted about her dreams for the day. But as the school year progressed, a gradual change began to unfold that her mother couldn't ignore. Joy's once cheerful footsteps grew heavier, echoing with an unseen burden that seemed to settle on her small shoulders. It started subtly, a small discomfort in Joy's demeanor that her mother, Mia, initially dismissed as the typical woes of childhood. However, the more she observed, the more she realized something was terribly wrong. Joy had begun to complain about tummy aches and headaches, which became her usual excuses to avoid school. Each morning, Mia would stroke her forehead, checking for fever, but the warmth of Joy's skin was always accompanied by her downcast eyes, a telltale sign of the turmoil hidden within. "Maybe just 5 more minutes in bed," Mia would suggest, and Joy would nod silently, pulling the covers over her head, seeking refuge from a world that had become increasingly difficult to navigate. Those 5 minutes stretched longer each day, morphing into a constant struggle that left Mia's heart heavy with concern. Their evenings, once filled with colorful tales of mermaids and far-off lands, began to dwindle into silence. Joy would sit in the tub, clutching a rubber duck that seemed to lose its magical odor. Mia often tried to break the silence, asking, "How was school today, sweetie?" But Joy would only shrug, the sparkle in her eyes fading like the last rays of sunlight. The changes extended beyond their home life. At school, the teachers noted Joy's withdrawal. Mrs. Thompson, her art teacher, mentioned how Joy no longer participated in class discussions or raised her hand during story time. Other parents noticed how Joy sat alone during lunch, her vibrant spirit dulled by an invisible weight. Mia couldn't understand the transformation. As she watched her daughter sleep at night, she remembered her own childhood struggles with subtle racism. She recalled the feelings of being an outsider, an experience she never wished for Joy. It broke her heart to see her daughter retreat into herself, carrying a burden no child should have to bear. In the school's bright, cheery classroom, Miss Anderson, the nursery teacher, presented a facade of warmth and care. She would speak passionately about inclusion and diversity during staff meetings, her manicured hands gesturing animatedly. Yet, behind closed doors, a different reality unfolded. Miss Anderson's comments about Joy's appearance came cloaked in feigned concern. "Oh, sweetie, your braids are coming loose again. Don't you want to look neat like the other children?" Every time Joy stepped into that classroom, she felt the weight of those words, a constant reminder that she was different. Joy's desk, isolated from the other children, became a prison of sorts, justifying Miss Anderson's claims about distractions and lighting. Joy found herself paired with students who had already formed their own groups, engineering moments of isolation. Accidents seemed to follow Joy wherever she went. A bump during story time would send her tumbling from her cushion, and a quick movement would knock over her water bottle, soaking her shoes. Each incident was met with Miss Anderson's exaggerated concern, almost bordering on mockery. "Oh dear, you really must be more careful, Joy. Let's work on your coordination, shall we?" During art time, while Miss Anderson showered praise on other students, Joy's artwork was met with cold smiles and tight pauses. The artwork, once a canvas for her vibrant imagination, would often end up crumpled in the trash, unseen and unappreciated. Each day, as Joy raised her hand to share her ideas, she was ignored in favor of her classmates, leading her to eventually lower her arm in defeat. The classroom, decorated with cheerful posters and bright colors, masked the harsh reality Joy faced. A shadow curriculum where racism wore a professional mask and wielded a red pen, teaching lessons no child should have to learn. Each slight, though seemingly isolated, formed a pattern of targeted diminishment that Joy slowly began to internalize. But amidst the chaos, there was one person who saw through the veil. Lily, a quiet girl with a kind heart, noticed Joy's struggles from the very beginning. During morning circle time, she was drawn to the way Joy hummed softly while coloring, lost in her own world, despite the noise around her. As weeks turned into months, Lily's concern for her friend deepened. She watched as Miss Anderson favored other students, ignoring Joy's raised hand and turning a blind eye to the hurtful actions of her classmates. Lily's heart ached as she witnessed Joy's spirit dimming, her bright drawings becoming darker, the colors blending into heavy scribbles that mirrored Joy's silent despair. Their friendship blossomed in those moments when they could escape the suffocating atmosphere of the classroom. During recess, they created their own worlds filled with laughter and imagination, becoming explorers and superheroes together. But even in their sanctuary, Joy's laughter was a rare sound, overshadowed by the reality of their school environment. As the days turned into a blur of sadness, the breaking point arrived during reading time. Joy stood clutching her favorite book, her hand raised high, desperation etched across her face. Miss Anderson, however, continued to call on every other student, ignoring Joy until her arm fell slowly to her side, tears welling in her eyes. That afternoon, as the children napped, Joy's silent sobs pierced the stillness of the classroom. Lily lay awake, her heart heavy with the knowledge of what was unfolding around her. She recalled her parents' lessons about standing up for what was right, and in that moment, she knew she had to act. Determined, she thought of her friend and the pain she had endured. In a moment of clarity, Lily realized that sometimes the smallest hands could create the most significant changes. She had to show the world what Joy was going through. If the adults couldn't see, she would make them. The next morning was thick with an unusual tension, a palpable shift in the air as Joy entered the classroom, clutching a family portrait she had drawn, filled with color and love. Miss Anderson's approach, however, struck fear in Joy's heart. She held the picture up, her lips curving into a cruel smile. "This is quite messy, isn't it?" With each word, Joy felt her heart break a little more. The classroom that had once been a sanctuary of creativity was now a battleground where her spirit was systematically crushed. As the tearing sound echoed through the room, the shards of Joy's artwork fell to the ground, much like her spirit. Tears streamed down Joy's cheeks as she knelt to gather the fragments, her tiny hands trembling. But it was in this moment of heartbreak that something profound began to shift. Lily, witnessing the truth laid bare, resolved to act, to ensure Joy's cries did not go unheard. What would happen next would change everything for Joy and for Lily as they set forth on a journey that would lead them to confront the unseen shadows lurking within their school. The turning point. The next few days unfolded like a heavy fog enveloping the nursery, each morning bringing a sense of dread that settled on Joy's small shoulders. The once vibrant colors of her life were now muted, drained of their brightness, mirroring the changes in her spirit. The joyful giggles that had once echoed in the house were now replaced by the somber silence of her reluctance to face the day. Joy's mother, Clara, could feel the difference in her daughter, but the reasons remained shrouded in confusion and anxiety. One particularly gloomy morning, Clara decided to accompany Joy into the nursery. She hoped that perhaps a change in routine might coax out the lively child she once knew. As they entered the building, Joy clutched her mother's hand tightly, her knuckles turning white. Clara glanced down, noticing the tension radiating from her daughter as they stepped into the brightly lit classroom. The usual chatter of children playing was now overshadowed by Joy's palpable discomfort. "Mommy, can we go home?" Joy's voice was barely a whisper, yet it echoed with a depth of fear that sent a pang through Clara's heart. "We just got here, sweetie. Let's give it a chance, okay?" Clara responded gently, kneeling to look into her daughter's eyes. She offered a smile, though uncertainty gnawed at her. Joy's response was a slight nod, but her gaze drifted towards the familiar chaos of the classroom. Inside, Miss Anderson presided over the class with a practiced artificial warmth. Clara noticed the subtle cues of disdain masked behind her polite smile as she engaged with the other children. When Joy approached, Miss Anderson's demeanor shifted. Her words, once sweet, now dripped with an undercurrent of scorn. "Ah, Joy, there you are. I was wondering when you'd decide to join us." Clara's instincts screamed for action. She stood up straighter, ready to intervene, but held back. Perhaps it was just the teacher's way of motivating her daughter. Maybe she was overreacting. As the morning progressed, Clara watched Miss Anderson call on every child except Joy, whose hand remained raised, trembling with anticipation and disappointment. With every missed opportunity, Clara felt an ache in her chest. As the days wore on, the signs of Joy's distress became more pronounced. Joy began to exhibit physical symptoms that left Clara worried. Every morning she awoke with new complaints, a stomach ache that seemed to strike just as they were about to leave for school, a headache that mysteriously vanished the moment they decided to stay home. Clara wanted to believe that it was just a phase, but deep down, she sensed that something far more sinister was at play. In the evenings, Clara made it a point to check in with Joy, hoping to uncover the source of her pain. "What happened at school today?" she would ask, her voice gentle yet filled with concern. But Joy would respond with an evasive shrug, her eyes averted as if to avoid revealing the truth. "Nothing, Mommy. I just want to play with my toys." Frustration mounted in Clara. The vibrant artwork that used to decorate their fridge now felt like a faded memory. Joy's recent creations had become dark and chaotic, splattered with angry strokes that conveyed emotions she couldn't articulate. One day, Clara found a crumpled piece of paper in Joy's backpack, a drawing of herself, her mother, and their beloved cat, Mr. Whiskers. But the colors were muted, the faces distorted, and the smiles replaced with frowns. "Who did this, Joy? Why are you hiding your drawings?" Clara asked, kneeling beside her daughter. It's not good," Joy mumbled, her eyes darting away, betraying her fear of disappointing her mother. Clara's heart sank. She wanted to break through the barrier that had formed around Joy, but every attempt seemed to push her daughter further into silence. It was as if a thick fog had settled in Joy's mind, obscuring her thoughts and emotions from both herself and her mother. One afternoon, Clara decided to drop by the nursery unannounced, a sudden urge to uncover the truth driving her. As she entered, she felt a mix of apprehension and determination. She spotted Joy at her desk, the small girl hunched over her artwork, her small hands trembling as she tried to draw. Clara approached quietly, careful not to interrupt. But the moment she got close enough, she could see Joy's face contorted in concentration, her brow furrowed as if battling an invisible force. When Miss Anderson approached, Clara's heart raced. "Joy, what is this mess?" Miss Anderson's tone dripped with condescension as she looked at Joy's drawing, her voice carrying across the room. "Did you forget how to use crayons? Look at this. If you can't do better than this, maybe you should sit by yourself for a while." Clara's blood boiled. She stepped forward, unable to contain her anger. "Excuse me, Miss Anderson," she said, her voice steady but edged with fury. "That's enough. Joy has been struggling, and I think it's time we talk about what's happening in your classroom." Miss Anderson turned, her smile faltering momentarily before returning with a practiced veneer of professionalism. "Oh, I assure you, Joy is doing just fine. She simply needs a little extra motivation. That's all." Clara could see the dismissive look in Miss Anderson's eyes, a calculated tactic that left no room for doubt. "Motivation? Is that what you call it? Because to me, it looks like you're belittling her." The other teachers paused, glancing at each other in surprise at the confrontation unfolding before them. Clara could feel the tension rise, but she pressed on, her heart racing. Joy is a bright and creative child. She deserves to be treated with kindness and respect, not this cruelty. As the confrontation continued, Joy sat silently at her desk, her heart pounding in her chest. She had always wanted her mother to stand up for her, to shield her from the harsh realities of the world. But now, with the teacher's eyes fixed on them, Joy felt a mixture of fear and relief wash over her. Would her mother's words make a difference, or would they only draw more ire from Miss Anderson? Miss Anderson straightened, her expression unyielding. I appreciate your concern, Clara, but I assure you, I have years of experience in handling children. Joy simply needs to learn how to play well with others. Clara felt a wave of frustration sweep over her. The casual dismissal of her daughter's pain infuriated her. You don't seem to see the impact your words have. Joy is scared. She dreads coming here every day. The air grew heavy with tension, and for a brief moment, Clara could see the flicker of uncertainty in Miss Anderson's eyes. But then, the teacher regained her composure, her smile returning like a mask. I think you're overreacting. Children often exaggerate their feelings. The dismissive tone felt like a slap in the face, but Clara held firm. I'm not overreacting. This is my daughter we're talking about. You've created an environment that's toxic for her. Children should feel safe and loved in their classrooms, not bullied. As Clara's voice echoed through the room, other parents and staff members began to take notice. Murmurs filled the air as her words hung heavy. Some nodded in agreement, others exchanged glances, uncertain of how to respond. The silence that followed felt charged, each heartbeat echoing in the air as the gravity of the situation sank in. Meanwhile, Joy remained at her desk, feeling a swell of emotions: confusion, fear, hope. Would her mother's courage lead to change? Would the adults finally recognize the pain she had been carrying? The thought ignited a small flicker of hope deep within her. That night, as Clara tucked Joy into bed, she noticed her daughter's eyes shining with unshed tears. Mommy, do you really think I'm good at drawing? Clara's heart softened at the vulnerability in Joy's voice. Sweetheart, your drawings are beautiful. You have a gift. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. Joy's eyes brightened momentarily, but the shadows of doubt still lingered. What if Miss Anderson says I'm not? Clara brushed her daughter's hair back gently, looking into her eyes with unwavering sincerity. You are so much more than what anyone else says, Joy. You are brave and you are loved. And I promise we will get to the bottom of this together. As Joy nestled under her blanket, Clara could feel the warmth of hope begin to replace the chill of despair. But as she stepped out of the room, Clara knew that the battle wasn't over. They had to confront Miss Anderson's toxic behavior head-on and reclaim the joy that had been stolen from her daughter. The next day, Clara gathered her resolve and scheduled a meeting with the school's principal, determined to address the situation more formally. With every passing moment, her heart raced with anticipation and fear. She needed to ensure that no child, especially her Joy, would suffer in silence any longer. While Clara prepared for the meeting, Joy found herself in the classroom again, the air heavy with apprehension. She glanced at her artwork, still torn but now surrounded by the supportive presence of her friend Lily. As their eyes met, Joy felt a sense of connection, a reminder that she wasn't alone in this battle. Lily smiled, a spark of encouragement. You're going to be the gathering storm. The following day, Clara entered the school with a mix of determination and apprehension. The principal, Ms. Roberts, had been known for her fair but firm approach, and Clara hoped her reputation would lend credibility to the concerns she intended to voice. As she walked through the bright halls adorned with children's artwork, each vibrant piece served as a painful reminder of what Joy had once created, an expression of innocence and creativity that felt stifled now. Clara reached the principal's office, took a deep breath, and knocked gently on the door. Ms. Roberts, it's Clara Hughes. I have a meeting scheduled. Come in. Ms. Roberts called, her tone warm and inviting. Clara opened the door, stepping inside to find the principal sitting at her desk, a stack of papers neatly arranged before her. Thank you for coming in, Clara. Please, have a seat. How can I assist you today? Clara sat down, her heart racing as she gathered her thoughts. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice. I'm here to discuss my daughter, Joy, and some concerns I have regarding her experience in the nursery. Ms. Roberts nodded, her expression attentive. "Of course. I'm always here to listen to parents. What seems to be the issue?" Clara took a moment to compose herself. Joy has been struggling in class. She's shown signs of distress. Her reluctance to attend school, the physical complaints, and the noticeable change in her behavior and artwork. I believe her teacher, Miss Anderson, may be contributing to this issue. As Clara spoke, Ms. Roberts' brows furrowed slightly, a sign of concern. "I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. I must admit, I've heard whispers about Miss Anderson's teaching style, but nothing concrete. Can you elaborate on what you've observed?" Clara recounted the incidents, Joy's hesitance to engage, the dismissive comments from Miss Anderson, and how her artwork, once a reflection of her joy, had devolved into something dark and chaotic. She explained the moment of confrontation in the classroom and how Miss Anderson had belittled Joy's efforts. With each word, Clara felt a weight lift from her shoulders, the burden of silence finally being shared. Ms. Roberts listened intently, nodding at key points. "It's clear this has affected Joy deeply. We have a responsibility to ensure that all children feel safe and valued in our schools. I appreciate your courage in bringing this to light." Clara felt a flicker of hope ignite in her heart. "I just want Joy to be able to express herself freely again, without fear or judgment." After a few moments of silence, Ms. Roberts spoke. "I'll need to speak with Miss Anderson and investigate this further. We have a protocol for handling these situations, and I will ensure it is followed. Thank you for coming in, Clara. You've done the right thing by advocating for your daughter." Clara left the principal's office feeling empowered, yet a sense of trepidation lingered. She knew that Miss Anderson would not take kindly to the intervention, and the consequences might ripple through the school. However, she was resolute. Joy's happiness was worth any backlash. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Joy sat beside Lily, trying to focus on her coloring. The bright colors of the crayons felt muted in her hands, the once fun task now a chore. The tension in the air was palpable, and she felt as if all eyes were on her, even those of her friends. "Joy, are you okay?" Lily asked, concern etching her features. "You've been really quiet lately." Joy shrugged, her heart heavy. "I don't like it here. I want to go home." Lily frowned, reaching out to squeeze Joy's hand. "But we're friends. We can stick together, right? Miss Anderson can't be mean to both of us." Joy looked up at her friend, appreciating the support, but feeling the wave of anxiety wash over her. "I don't think it's that easy." As Miss Anderson entered the room, Joy's heart raced. The teacher's presence was like a cloud overshadowing the sun. "All right, class, let's gather around," she called out, her tone commanding yet cool. The children shuffled into place, the room falling silent as the oppressive atmosphere settled over them. "Today we're going to learn about shapes," Miss Anderson announced, her eyes scanning the room. "I expect everyone to participate, especially you, Joy. We don't have time for excuses." Joy's stomach twisted. She wanted to raise her hand, to be a part of the class, but the weight of Miss Anderson's gaze paralyzed her. Instead, she drew in her breath and bit her lip, hoping that if she remained quiet, she wouldn't attract attention. As the lesson progressed, Miss Anderson began to call on children randomly, but when it came to Joy, her name was met with silence. "Joy?" Miss Anderson prompted, her voice laced with impatience. "Can you tell us what shape this is?" Joy's heart pounded in her chest, her throat dry. A triangle," she ventured, her voice trembling. "Incorrect. It's a rectangle." "Try to pay attention, Joy," Miss Anderson snapped, the condescension evident. The other children exchanged looks, some snickering quietly. Joy's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, as she wished she could disappear. Later that day, during recess, Joy sat on a swing, the world around her fading into a blur. The laughter of her classmates felt distant, like echoes of a life she once enjoyed. Lily approached, concern written all over her face. "Hey, why are you all alone? You should be playing with us." Joy sighed, her gaze fixed on the ground. "I just can't. I don't want to be here." Lily sat down beside her, a determined look in her eyes. "You have to tell your mom. She'll help you. I heard her talking to Miss Anderson the other day. She was brave. You can be brave too." At that moment, Joy felt a flicker of determination. Maybe she could find the courage to express her feelings, just like her mother had done. But what if it didn't change anything? What if Miss Anderson's behavior remained the same? That evening, Clara returned home, her heart buoyed by the meeting with Ms. Roberts. She found Joy sitting on the floor, surrounded by crayons and paper. Clara noticed the pile of drawings, each one revealing Joy's inner turmoil. There were jagged lines, dark colors, and strange shapes that seemed to clash violently on the page. It was a reflection of Joy's confusion, a cry for help. "Joy, sweetheart, can we talk?" Clara asked softly, kneeling beside her. Joy looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Mommy, I'm scared. What if Miss Anderson gets mad at you for talking to the principal?" Clara felt her heart ache at Joy's fear. "I understand, honey, but we can't let fear stop us from standing up for what's right. You have to know that you're not alone in this. I'm here for you always." Tears rolled down Joy's cheeks as she nodded. "I don't want to be afraid anymore. I want to draw again. I want to be happy." Clara hugged Joy tightly, relief flooding through her. "We'll find a way to fix this. We'll talk to Ms. Roberts again if we have to. You deserve to feel safe and happy at school." The next morning, as Joy prepared for school, a new sense of resolve washed over her. She would not let fear dictate her life any longer. With her mother's encouragement, she decided that today would be different. As they walked into the nursery, she felt a twinge of anxiety, but also a newfound determination. During the morning session, Miss Anderson began the day with a familiar drill. "All right, everyone, let's do our warm-up exercise. I want to see who can draw the best shape," she announced, her voice carrying the hint of sarcasm. "Let's see if Joy can participate today." Joy's heart raced as she picked up a crayon, her fingers trembling. She took a deep breath and focused on the paper in front of her. With each stroke, she poured her feelings into the drawing, the confusion, the fear, and the hope she had been holding inside. The colors were vibrant, each shade a reflection of her spirit. As Joy worked, she felt a sense of freedom wash over her. She glanced up and caught Lily's encouraging smile, a reminder that she was not alone in this. When Miss Anderson came around to inspect the drawings, Joy's heart raced. "Let's see what you've come up with, Joy," Miss Anderson said, her tone sharp. Joy lifted her paper, her hand steadying despite the tremors within. "I drew a rainbow," she said, her voice filled with unexpected confidence. "It represents hope and happiness." Miss Anderson stared at the drawing, and for a moment, surprise flickered across her face. But it quickly morphed back into indifference. "Well, it's colorful, I'll give you that. But remember, Joy, shapes are what we're focusing on." Joy's heart sank slightly, but she stood her ground. But colors can be shapes too. They can represent things, feelings. The room fell silent as other children looked on, some whispering. Joy felt a mix of vulnerability and strength surging within her. Miss Anderson opened her mouth to retort, but before she could say anything, Clara appeared at the turning tide. Clara's entrance into the classroom felt like a gust of fresh air. The atmosphere shifted as all eyes turned toward her, a mix of surprise and intrigue rippling through the children. Clara stood tall, her heart racing, but her resolve stronger than ever. She walked towards Joy, her expression fierce yet tender. "Miss Anderson," Clara began, her voice steady despite the storm of emotion swirling within her, "may I have a word with you privately?" Miss Anderson's expression hardened, her lips pressed into a thin line. "This isn't an appropriate time, Clara. We're in the middle of a lesson." Clara took a deep breath, channeling her determination. "I understand, but it's crucial that we speak. Joy's well-being is at stake here, and I cannot stand idly by while she suffers." The tension in the room was palpable. Clara's heart raced as she felt the weight of every gaze on her, but she stood firm. After a moment of hesitation, Miss Anderson rolled her eyes but nodded, her tone dismissive. "Fine. Let's step outside." As they exited the classroom, Clara could feel the curious eyes of the children on her back, particularly Joy's. In the hallway, Clara turned to Miss Anderson, a wave of determination flooding through her. "I'm concerned about how you've been treating Joy and the impact it's having on her." Miss Anderson crossed her arms, leaning against the wall with an air of indifference. "This isn't a conversation you should be having, Clara. I run my classroom as I see fit. Joy needs to toughen up if she's going to make it in this world." Clara felt anger bubbling beneath the surface. Toughening up should not come at the cost of a child's self-esteem. Joy is bright and talented, but your comments are crushing her spirit. All she wants is to express herself freely. Miss Anderson scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Art is subjective, Clara. Not everyone will appreciate her so-called talent. She needs to learn that." Clara took a step closer, her voice firm but controlled. "She's a child. Children should be nurtured and encouraged, not belittled. I've heard from other parents who share similar concerns about your teaching style. I'm not here to threaten you, but to advocate for my daughter and ensure she feels safe and valued in your classroom." Miss Anderson's expression darkened, a flicker of annoyance flashing in her eyes. "I don't take kindly to being challenged in my own classroom. You need to understand that education isn't just about praise. It's about preparing them for reality." Clara took a deep breath, fighting against the frustration rising within her. Preparing them for reality doesn't have to mean discouraging their creativity. I'm willing to work with you, but I need to see a change in how you approach Joy and the other children. Miss Anderson straightened, her posture rigid. "I'll do what I think is best for my classroom. If Joy can't keep up, that's not my fault." With that, Clara felt the conversation shift. The anger bubbling inside her surged, but she reminded herself of Joy's struggle. "This isn't just about keeping up, Miss Anderson. It's about fostering a love for learning. If you don't make an effort to connect with Joy and the other students, you're failing as a teacher." As Clara turned to leave, the sound of Joy's voice echoed in her mind, the plea for happiness and safety. "You may feel untouchable now, but I'll be bringing this to the principal's attention. I hope you'll consider the impact of your words and actions before you continue." Clara walked away with her head held high, fueled by a mix of anger and determination. She knew she'd made an impact, however small, and that the conversation might stir the pot for Miss Anderson. But she also understood that change wouldn't happen overnight. When Clara returned to the classroom, she found Joy sitting at her desk, nervously fiddling with her crayons. Joy's eyes widened as Clara approached. "Mommy, did you talk to Miss Anderson?" "I did, sweetheart," Clara replied, kneeling beside her daughter. "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. You're so brave, Joy." Joy's face brightened momentarily, but her brow furrowed in concern. "What if she gets mad at you? What if she punishes me?" Clara wrapped her arms around Joy, pulling her close. "We're in this together, remember. No one should make you feel afraid or small. I'll speak with Ms. Roberts again if we have to." In that moment, Joy felt a surge of hope. "I just want to draw happy things again," she whispered. As the school day continued, the tension between Miss Anderson and the students lingered. Clara watched as her daughter engaged with Lily and the others, the innocence of their laughter filling the room. But Miss Anderson's icy demeanor cast a shadow over the warmth. After school, Clara decided to call a meeting with Ms. Roberts to discuss the situation further. She felt that, while she had made progress, it wasn't enough. The next day, she arrived at the school with purpose, ready to advocate for Joy and her classmates. Ms. Roberts greeted her with a warm smile. "Clara, thank you for coming in again. I wanted to follow up on our previous conversation." Clara nodded, her heart racing. "Thank you for seeing me. I'm worried about the ongoing situation with Miss Anderson. It seems to be affecting not only Joy but the morale of other students as well. Can you tell me more about what you've observed? Ms. Roberts asked, her tone serious. Clara took a deep breath, recounting the incidents she had witnessed since her last visit. She mentioned the dismissive comments, the lack of encouragement, and the overall oppressive atmosphere that Miss Anderson created in the classroom. I fear it's stifling creativity and causing emotional harm to the children, Clara concluded. Ms. Roberts listened attentively, taking notes. I appreciate your honesty, Clara. I've received similar reports from other parents, and it's become a growing concern. We take these matters seriously. I plan to hold a staff meeting to address teaching methods and how they impact students. Clara felt a glimmer of hope as she absorbed Ms. Roberts' words. Thank you for taking this seriously. It's crucial that children feel safe and nurtured at school, especially in their formative years. Later that evening, Clara sat with Joy, sharing the news. The principal is going to address the issues in Miss Anderson's classroom. I believe things will start to change soon. Joy's face lit up, a small smile breaking through. Do you think she'll be nicer? I hope so, sweetheart. Change takes time, but it's worth fighting for, Clara reassured her. As the days passed, Clara noticed subtle changes. Miss Anderson seemed more restrained in her comments, although her demeanor remained aloof. Joy, emboldened by her mother's support, began to express herself more freely in class. She drew vibrant scenes, filled with laughter and light, each stroke of her crayon a testament to her resilience. One afternoon during art class, Joy took it upon herself to gather her classmates. Let's all draw together, she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. The other children rallied around, crayons in hand, eager to join in. For the first time in months, the room felt alive with creativity. As Joy sketched a large mural that depicted a fantastical garden, filled with colorful flowers and friendly animals, Miss Anderson observed from a distance. Clara watched as Joy led the class, encouraging everyone to express themselves. It was a beautiful sight, one that brought tears of joy to Clara's eyes. However, Miss Anderson's silence spoke volumes. She remained distant, her frustration apparent. Clara knew that this was just the beginning, and that Miss Anderson's attitude might not change overnight. The thought of confronting her again made Clara's heart race, but she was prepared to do whatever it took to protect Joy. That evening, Clara and Joy sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by crayons and paper. Clara watched Joy as she colored, her face glowing with the joy of creation. "Mommy, can I show you what I drew today?" Joy asked, her excitement palpable. "Of course, sweetheart. I would love to see it," Clara replied, leaning in closer. Joy unfolded her drawing, revealing a scene filled with a rainbow, children laughing, and a sun shining brightly above. "This is our happy place," Joy declared, her eyes sparkling with pride. Clara beamed. "It's beautiful, Joy. You've captured so much happiness and light. This is exactly what I want you to feel, joy in your creativity." As Joy continued to share her artwork, Clara felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. They talked about dreams, colors, and the importance of expressing oneself. It was during these moments that Clara realized the true power of creativity and resilience. But as the days turned into weeks, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that Miss Anderson's attitude could still be a barrier to Joy's happiness. She decided to organize a meeting with a few other concerned parents to discuss their experiences with the teacher and strategize on how to support their children. The next day, Clara gathered with the other parents at a local coffee shop. As they sipped their drinks, she shared Joy's story, detailing her struggles and the impact of Miss Anderson's behavior. The other parents nodded in agreement, recounting similar experiences with their children. "We need to come together and present a united front," Clara suggested. "If we approach Ms. Roberts as a group, it might make a greater impact." Strength in unity. The parents nodded in agreement, their faces filled with determination. Clara could feel the energy in the room shifting, each individual ignited by a shared purpose. It was time to take a stand not only for Joy, but for all the children who had been affected by Miss Anderson's dismissive approach. They would band together to advocate for a nurturing environment that allowed creativity to flourish. "Let's draft a letter to Ms. Roberts outlining our concerns and requesting a meeting with her," Clara proposed. "We need to emphasize that this isn't just about one child, but the entire class's emotional and educational well-being." The group quickly began brainstorming, each parent contributing their thoughts and experiences. They shared stories of their children's struggles with Miss Anderson's teaching style, the hesitance to participate in class, and the visible decline in their self-esteem. Clara jotted down notes, heartened by the collective desire to enact change. As they worked on the letter, Clara felt a renewed sense of hope. The realization that they were not alone in this fight was empowering. Together, they crafted a message that clearly articulated their concerns while highlighting the importance of fostering a supportive learning environment. "Let's make sure to include positive suggestions too," one of the mothers suggested. "Maybe we could propose a workshop on encouraging creativity in the classroom." "Yes," Clara exclaimed. "That's a great idea. We can offer to help organize it, showing that we're invested in making things better for everyone." Once the letter was polished and signatures collected, they decided to present it to Ms. Roberts the following week. Clara felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach as the day approached, but she knew they had to be brave. After all, this was about their children's futures. When the day arrived, Clara and the other parents gathered at the school, their collective energy buzzing with determination. They walked to Ms. Roberts' office together, united in purpose. As they entered, Ms. Roberts looked up, surprised but welcoming. "Hello, everyone. What brings you all here today?" she asked, a hint of curiosity in her tone. Clara stepped forward, holding the letter in her hands. "Thank you for meeting with us, Ms. Roberts. We wanted to discuss some concerns we have regarding Miss Anderson's teaching style and its impact on our children." Ms. Roberts gestured for them to take a seat. Clara noticed the seriousness in the principal's expression as she read the letter, her brow furrowing in thought. The room fell silent as they waited for her response, anticipation hanging in the air like a thick fog. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention," Ms. Roberts said, looking up from the letter. "I appreciate your honesty, and I understand your concerns. It's vital that every child feels supported in their learning environment." Clara felt a wave of relief wash over her. "We believe that fostering creativity is essential for their development, and we're worried that Miss Anderson's current approach may stifle that." Ms. Roberts nodded thoughtfully. "I've been hearing similar feedback from other parents as well. I plan to address these concerns in our upcoming staff meeting. We need to ensure our teachers are equipped to nurture students' creativity and emotional well-being." The parents exchanged glances, a mix of relief and hope washing over them. "We'd also like to suggest a workshop," Clara continued, encouraged by Ms. Roberts' receptiveness. "We can invite experts in child development to discuss ways to encourage creativity and positive reinforcement in the classroom." "I think that's an excellent idea," Ms. Roberts replied, her eyes lighting up. "We'll work together to set something up. It's crucial that we create an environment where children feel valued and free to express themselves." As the meeting concluded, Clara felt a profound sense of accomplishment. They had taken the first steps toward change, and it felt exhilarating to have their voices heard. The parents left the office, their spirits lifted, knowing they had made a difference. Over the next few weeks, Clara noticed a subtle shift in the classroom. While Miss Anderson's demeanor remained stern, she seemed to be attempting to engage the children more positively. Clara watched as Miss Anderson occasionally highlighted Joy's artwork, offering vague praise rather than the sharp criticisms she had once delivered. Joy, bolstered by the changes, began to shine brighter in her creative pursuits. She poured her heart into her drawings, the colors more vibrant, and the themes reflecting her imagination. Clara's heart swelled with pride as she observed Joy sharing her artwork with friends, laughter ringing in the air. But deep down, Clara knew that true change would require ongoing effort. One afternoon, she received an email from Ms. Roberts announcing the upcoming workshop. The excitement was palpable as parents and children discussed what they hoped to gain from it. Clara eagerly prepared for the event, envisioning a day filled with inspiration and connection. The day of the workshop arrived, the school buzzing with energy. Parents and teachers gathered in the auditorium, the atmosphere alive with anticipation. Clara, along with Joy, took their seats among friends, ready to embrace this new chapter. Ms. Roberts welcomed everyone, introducing the guest speakers, experts in child psychology and education. Clara listened intently as they discussed the importance of creativity in children's development, sharing strategies for fostering a supportive environment. The speakers encouraged open dialogue, inviting parents and teachers to share their experiences. Clara felt a sense of unity as they discussed common challenges and triumphs. It was enlightening to hear others voice the same concerns she had for Joy and the other children. During a breakout session, Clara found herself seated with Miss Anderson. The teacher looked uncharacteristically vulnerable. Her shoulders slumped as she listened to parents voice their experiences. Clara seized the opportunity to connect. "Miss Anderson, we really appreciate you being here today," Clara said, her tone warm. "We understand that teaching can be challenging, especially when it comes to managing different personalities and needs." Miss Anderson nodded slowly, her expression softening. "It's difficult to balance structure and creativity. I often feel like I'm treading a fine line. I think we all want the same thing, a nurturing environment for our kids. Maybe we can work together on that," Clara suggested, hopeful. Miss Anderson looked thoughtful. "I'm open to ideas. I realize I might have been too harsh at times. It's just the pressure of the curriculum." Clara offered a reassuring smile. "It's understandable, but it's crucial for the children to feel valued, especially in their formative years. They thrive when they're encouraged." The conversation sparked a sense of collaboration, and Clara felt as though a bridge was forming. They exchanged ideas on how to incorporate more creative projects into the curriculum, and Clara could see a flicker of hope in Miss Anderson's eyes. As the workshop concluded, Clara felt optimistic about the future. The discussions had created a space for growth, and she hoped Miss Anderson would embrace the changes. Joy seemed more vibrant than ever, her art reflecting the newfound positivity surrounding her. After the workshop, Clara decided to check in with Joy's classmates and their parents, eager to hear about their experiences. As she approached one of the mothers, they began discussing the changes they had noticed in the classroom. "It feels like the kids are more engaged now, doesn't it?" the mother remarked. "I think Miss Anderson is trying to connect with them more." Clara nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "Yes, I believe we're making progress, but we must keep advocating for their emotional and creative well-being." As the weeks rolled on, the environment in Miss Anderson's classroom began to transform gradually. She introduced more collaborative projects, encouraging the children to share their ideas and support each other's creativity. Clara watched as joy blossomed, her artwork becoming a focal point of class discussions. The students began showcasing their pieces in a small exhibit, a celebration of their collective creativity. Clara felt a surge of pride as she and Joy prepared for the event, excited to see the fruits of their efforts. On the day of the exhibit, Clara arrived early, helping set up the classroom filled with colorful artwork. Joy's drawings were prominently displayed, each piece brimming with life and imagination. As parents and families filtered in, Clara could sense the excitement in the air. The exhibit was a resounding success. Joy beamed with pride as she explained her artwork to visiting parents, her confidence radiating. Clara felt tears of joy welling in her eyes as she watched her daughter flourish in this nurturing atmosphere. As the evening drew to a close, Clara approached Miss Anderson, who was mingling with parents. "Thank you for creating such a wonderful event," Clara said sincerely. "It's amazing to see the children's creativity celebrated like this." Miss Anderson smiled, her expression warm. "I've realized how important it is to foster creativity in the classroom. I appreciate your input, Clara. It's made a difference." Clara felt a wave of gratitude. "It's all about teamwork, Miss Anderson. We're in this together." As the school year progressed, Clara observed an even greater shift in Miss Anderson's approach. She was more engaged with her students, celebrating their successes and providing constructive feedback rather than harsh criticism. The classroom atmosphere felt lighter, filled with laughter and creativity. Clara felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that their efforts had contributed to this positive change. Joy continued to thrive, her love for art blossoming, as she explored new styles and themes. The supportive community of parents grew closer, advocating not only for their own children, but for a better learning environment for all. Reflecting on the journey, Clara realized that advocacy had opened doors to understanding and connection. By standing together, they had forged a path toward a brighter future, one where creativity and emotional well-being were valued and nurtured. As the school year drew to a close, Clara stood in front of Joy's latest masterpiece, a vibrant mural representing a garden of dreams and hopes. New beginnings. Clara stood in awe, her heart swelling with pride as she gazed at Joy's mural. The vibrant colors blended harmoniously, each stroke of the brush narrating a story of resilience, imagination, and hope. The garden represented not just Joy's creative journey, but also the collective effort of the parents and teachers who had rallied together for a cause greater than themselves. As the school year reached its end, Clara knew it was essential to celebrate this progress. The upcoming art showcase would be the perfect opportunity to highlight not only the children's artwork, but also the collaborative spirit that had transformed the classroom environment. With Joy's mural as the centerpiece, Clara envisioned a gathering that would symbolize the newfound camaraderie among parents, teachers, and students. To bring this vision to life, Clara enlisted the help of her fellow parents. They met regularly, brainstorming ways to make the showcase memorable. Clara suggested inviting local artists to speak about the importance of creativity, and everyone enthusiastically agreed. They wanted the children to feel empowered, knowing their creativity mattered and could lead to meaningful connections in the wider community. As the planning progressed, Clara felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would the showcase resonate with everyone? Would it truly reflect the growth Joy and her classmates had experienced? Despite her uncertainties, she remained determined to create an environment that would inspire both the children and the adults. On the day of the art showcase, Clara arrived early to help set up. The gymnasium buzzed with energy as parents, teachers, and students worked together to arrange the artwork. Joy was there too, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Mom, look, they're hanging my mural in the center," she exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. Clara smiled, her heart swelling with joy. "It deserves to be there, sweetie. It's a testament to how far you've come and how much you've grown." As the doors opened and families poured in, Clara felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. The room transformed into a vibrant tapestry of creativity, showcasing not just Joy's mural, but a myriad of artworks, each piece unique and filled with the children's personalities. Laughter and chatter filled the air as parents admired the creations, their eyes lighting up with pride for their children. The local artists arrived shortly after, bringing with them an infectious energy. Clara watched as they mingled with the attendees, discussing the importance of art and creativity in fostering emotional expression. The artists shared their own stories of struggle and triumph, encouraging the children to embrace their unique perspectives and find their voices through their art. As the evening unfolded, Clara noticed Miss Anderson mingling with the parents, discussing each child's work with genuine enthusiasm. Clara felt a warmth in her heart, realizing how much the teacher had grown throughout the year. Miss Anderson's transformation was palpable. She was more engaged, more present, and genuinely interested in the children's creativity. "Clara, come over here," Miss Anderson called, waving her over. Clara approached, curious about what Miss Anderson wanted to discuss. "Look at Joy's mural," Miss Anderson said, her eyes shining with admiration. "It's stunning. I can see how much effort she put into it." This is what we want for all our children, an environment where they feel free to express themselves. Clara beamed at the praise. Thank you, Miss Anderson. It really reflects how much growth has taken place this year. It's amazing what happens when we come together. Miss Anderson nodded in agreement. I realize now that fostering creativity is just as important as meeting academic goals. I'm committed to continuing this approach next year and ensuring that my classroom remains a safe space for all students to explore their creativity. As Clara moved through the room, she overheard parents discussing how they could maintain this supportive atmosphere in the future. One parent proposed forming a committee dedicated to continuing the advocacy for creative learning, and another suggested hosting regular workshops to keep the lines of communication open between parents and teachers. Feeling inspired by their enthusiasm, Clara spoke up. Why don't we all collaborate to create a series of community events focused on creativity? We can invite local artists and educators to engage with our children and provide them with ongoing opportunities to explore their artistic talents. The idea was met with resounding agreement. Parents exchanged contact information and began brainstorming potential events. Clara felt a surge of hope, knowing they were laying the groundwork for a community dedicated to nurturing the creative spirit in their children. As the night wound down, Clara took a moment to step back and observe the scene around her. Joy was surrounded by friends, her laughter mingling with theirs as they proudly showed off their creations. The joy on their faces was a testament to the power of community and the importance of supporting one another. When the showcase concluded, Clara and Joy headed home, exhaustion creeping in but hearts full. Joy chattered excitedly about her favorite moments of the evening, her words spilling out in a whirlwind of joy. Did you see how everyone loved my mural, Mom? I can't believe so many people came to see our art. Clara smiled at her daughter's enthusiasm. You should be proud, Joy. You've worked hard this year, and your creativity has really shown through. You're a true artist. That summer, Clara and the other parents continued their discussions, planning future events to sustain the momentum they had built. They organized creative workshops, art classes, and community gatherings, all aimed at keeping the spirit of collaboration alive. As the new school year approached, Clara felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Would Miss Anderson continue to foster creativity? Would the changes they had fought for hold? She was determined to remain an advocate, not just for Joy, but for all the children in the school. On the first day of school, Clara walked Joy to class, her heart pounding with anticipation. As they approached the classroom door, they noticed a colorful sign welcoming the students back. It read, "Welcome to a year of creativity." Joy's eyes lit up, her face beaming with excitement. "Look, Mom, Miss Anderson really did it," Joy exclaimed, pointing at the sign. Clara felt a wave of relief wash over her. "It looks like she's embracing the changes, sweetie. I can't wait to see what this year has in store for you." As they entered the classroom, Clara noticed that the desks were arranged in clusters, encouraging collaboration among the students. The walls were adorned with art created by the children from the previous year, a constant reminder of their achievements and the creativity that thrived within those walls. Miss Anderson greeted them with a warm smile. "Welcome back, everyone. This year, we're going to explore our creativity even more. We'll have new projects, art displays, and opportunities to express ourselves in ways that inspire us." Joy's eyes sparkled with excitement as she settled into her desk. Clara watched as Joy's classmates surrounded her, eager to share their summer adventures and ideas for the year ahead. After a few weeks, it became evident that Miss Anderson was genuinely committed to fostering creativity. She introduced themed projects that allowed students to explore various artistic mediums, from painting and drawing to writing and performing. Clara could see Joy thriving, her confidence growing with each new challenge. Parents continued to collaborate, forming a creative committee that met monthly to discuss ongoing projects and events. They invited guest artists to conduct workshops, exposing the children to new techniques and ideas. Clara felt grateful for the friendships she had forged through this journey. They were not just allies but a community united in purpose. One day, as Clara volunteered in the classroom, she noticed Joy and her friends working diligently on a group project. They were creating a mural that depicted their dreams for the future, each child contributing their ideas and artistic flair. Clara marveled at how far they had come since the beginning of the year. "Joy, this looks amazing," Clara exclaimed, kneeling beside her daughter. "I love how you've combined everyone's ideas into one mural." Joy smiled, pride radiating from her. "Thanks, Mom. We're using all the colors of our dreams. We want it to be really bright and happy." Watching Joy collaborate with her classmates, Clara felt a profound sense of gratitude. The journey had not been easy, but it had forged stronger connections among the parents, teachers, and children. They had transformed the classroom into a sanctuary of creativity, where every child felt valued and encouraged. As the year progressed, the school began to gain recognition for its innovative approach to education. Other schools sought advice on implementing similar creative initiatives, inspired by the changes at Joy's school. Clara felt proud of the impact they had made and the momentum they had created. As spring approached, Clara and a creative committee planned a community art festival, inviting families to showcase their children's artwork and celebrate creativity. The event promised to be a culmination of their hard work and a way to inspire future generations. On the day of the festival, Clara stood alongside Joy, surveying the vibrant displays of art and the laughter echoing throughout the schoolyard. The community came alive, families gathering to celebrate creativity and the power of collaboration. Clara reflected on how far they had come. It wasn't just about joy. It was about creating a nurturing environment for all children to flourish. Together, they had ignited a spark of creativity that would resonate far beyond the walls of the classroom. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Clara took Joy's hand and led her to the mural they had created together. The mural, now a symbol of hope and unity, would forever remind them of the journey they had undertaken. "Mom, can we keep making art like this?" Joy asked, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Absolutely, sweetheart," Clara replied, kneeling beside her. "This is just the beginning. We'll always find ways to celebrate our creativity, no matter what." As they stood together, Clara felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had not only transformed